The current British royal family was established in 1917 by Queen Elizabeth II's grandfather, King George V, but members can trace their blue blood back centuries. In fact, all the English kings and queens are descendants, in one way or another, of King Alfred the Great, who held court over the nation between 871 and 886. So as you can imagine, there's a long line of tragic deaths in that equally lengthy history. Keep watching to discover the facts behind some of the most disastrous British royal deaths since the 1800s. Princess Charlotte Augusta of Wales, 1817. It's surprising the tale of Princess Charlotte hasn't been made into a blockbuster movie yet. Her short life was full of intrigue and scandal, though she was also beautiful and popular with the British public. She was the equivalent of a 19th century Instagram influencer. Princess Charlotte, known formally by her full title, Princess Charlotte Augusta of Wales, was born to George IV, who started his career as a ruler in 1811 as Prince Regent. His father, George III, was deemed unfit to rule due to declining mental health. George IV was a decidedly unpopular king, but he did contribute his daughter, Princess Charlotte, to British life. As a teen, she had affair after affair, first with an army captain, then with a couple of low-on-the-royal-tier princes. In 1814, her family betrothed her to William, hereditary Prince of Orange, but she was having none of it. She broke protocol and broke off the wedding, convincing her family to let her marry Prince Leopold of Saxe-Coburg in 1816 instead. The British public loved this handsome couple, and Princess Charlotte reached new heights of popularity when she announced her first pregnancy. Sadly, she died in childbirth in 1817, at 21 years of age, her child stillborn. For weeks, the public mourned her death, pooling funds to construct a tomb at the Royal Vault at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. King George III, 1820. King George III reigned over Great Britain for 60 years. During his tumultuous life, he was the man in charge during the 7 Years' War between England and France, the American War of Independence, and the Battle of Waterloo that saw Napoleon defeated. Sadly, later in life, King George III began to suffer from recurring bouts of mental illness. It was said he would speak nonsense for hours. He didn't understand his wife had died in 1818 and was almost entirely deaf, blind with cataracts, and in constant pain from arthritis. Some historians have suggested he may have had bipolar disorder, though the cause of his madness hasn't been determined. Despite this, he remained popular with the British public until he died in 1820, though the same can't be said for his wayward son, George IV. Are you looking for more deep dives into the complicated lives of royal families? Be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Prince Albert, 1861. The death of King George IV's only daughter, Princess Charlotte, in 1817 left the monarch heirless. When he died in 1830, the crown was placed on his brother's head, King William IV. However, William also had no heirs, though he did have at least 10 illegitimate children. So on his death in 1837, an 18-year-old Victoria, niece to King William, was crowned the next Queen of England. Though pressured by her advisors to marry as quickly as possible, Queen Victoria dismissed the idea. That was until she met Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, the man who would become the love of her life. Albert, the Queen's first cousin, and Victoria fell madly in love with each other after their first meeting, marrying in 1840, not long after the Queen proposed. Queen Victoria was ecstatic, and the couple celebrated their union with a lavish ceremony that set the tone for the wedding pageantry and white dresses of today. The couple had 9 children together and were settling in for a long life. Then, in 1861, Albert paid a visit to his son, Albert Edward, known as Bertie, and caught typhoid fever. He died 3 weeks later. Queen Victoria was devastated and wore black mourning clothes for the rest of her long life. Prince John, 1919. Prince John, commonly known as the Lost Prince by historians, was the youngest child of George V and Queen Mary. He was a much-loved member of the family, beloved for his endless optimistic attitude. He suffered from fits from an early age and was diagnosed with epilepsy in 1909. Though it's popularly believed he was sequestered away in the countryside, reportedly for his safety, historians have found this untrue. He regularly appeared at family and royal events for most of his young life. His illness, however, was hidden from the public until he died at age 13. Due to the mystery and tragedy surrounding his death, Prince John's life has been the subject of many movies, TV shows, and theater performances. Prince George, Duke of Kent, 1942. Prince George, Duke of Kent, was widely known as a party prince. He was constantly finding himself embroiled in one scandal or another, much to the chagrin of his long-suffering older brothers, Kings Edward VIII and George VI, and the rest of the usually straight-laced British royal family. He was a habitual drug taker, enjoying everything from cocaine to morphine, and had affairs with several socialites. Prince George joined the RAF, becoming a very competent pilot. Unfortunately, right before the war in 1942, the plane he was in, or possibly flying drunk, crashed into a mountain. At just 39, the prince was dead. King George VI, 1952. The death of King George VI in 1952 forced the current British monarch and unprepared then Princess Elizabeth onto the throne at the age of 18. George was a heavy smoker and later in life developed cancer, most likely due to his unhealthy habit. His condition rapidly deteriorated after his diagnosis in 1951, and he died in his sleep at 52 years old. Elizabeth was on a royal tour in Kenya with her new husband, Prince Philip, when she received news of her father's death. She was quickly rushed home to attend the funeral and don the crown. Prince William of Gloucester, 1972. Prince William of Gloucester, the Queen's first cousin, shunned public life of a monarch. Instead, he escaped into the diplomatic services and was posted to Japan in 1968. There he met former flight attendant and model Zusi Starkloff. Despite a tumultuous relationship, the two were madly in love. Sadly, their romance was cut short in 1972 when William died in a plane crash. This was unexpected because William was an experienced pilot. He had even invited Starkloff to go with him that day, but she had other plans, thank goodness. Lord Louis Mountbatten, 1979. Lord Louis Mountbatten was on holiday in Ireland at Classybon Castle when he decided to take his family and friends on a fishing trip. The year was 1979 and the country was still reeling from some of the worst incidents of the Troubles, a tumultuous time of domestic terrorism in Ireland. Little known to the fishing party, a member of the Irish Republican Army had placed a bomb on the boat. The explosion killed Lord Mountbatten's grandson and a crew member instantly, while Lord Mountbatten died later from his injuries. Prince Charles exceedingly mourned his death because he looked up to Lord Mountbatten as a father figure. Diana, Prince of Wales. This is probably the most well-known of all royal deaths. The British public and the world loved her due to her selfless character, generosity, and hard work for global charities. The monarch had recently left the monarchy after divorcing Prince Charles in 1996. In August 1997, she was driving in a car with her partner, Dodi Fayed, supposedly speeding to outrun a slew of paparazzi. The vehicle crashed horrifically in a tunnel, with everyone dying except Trevor Rees-Jones, Fayed's bodyguard. Diana's death was mourned by millions worldwide. Her televised royal funeral was reportedly watched by 2.5 billion people. She left behind her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, who were 15 and 12 at the time. Now it's time to hear from you. After hearing all these shocking, deadly secrets, would you want to wear the crown? Let us know in the comment section below. And be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.